Kristen, will you please
Thank you, David.
come to the stage?
That was very exciting. I am Kristen Hamilton. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Koru Predictive Hiring. We use machine learning models and artificial intelligence to help companies hire the right talent. But importantly, as a tech entrepreneur, I want to solve a problem. Well, here is a problem. Nurse turnover rate in the United States is about 15%. And that goes up to about 21% if you think about acute care facilities. It's estimated that for every nurse that is lost or leaves, it costs the hospital about $65,000. And in fact, if you could reduce turnover by 20%, you could save the average hospital about $2 million. This is a problem for a variety of reasons. If you can imagine, physician turnover is even more costly. The underlying problem for this data and these challenges is how we hire. So who here hires people? Everybody. So one of the challenges in hiring across the board and in healthcare is how we hire is most employers receive thousands of applicants, and somehow we narrow that down to the people that we interview based on resume data. What's on a resume? Things like scores of a test, what your grades were, where you went to university, how you did in academia has no bearing in how you do in the workplace. However, we continue to use this information to make decisions about hiring. And that ultimately is the cause for what I call the definition of insanity. Despite these outcomes, we continue to hire this way. So what's the answer? What's happening in the world of hiring is similar to what happened in marketing when we moved from Mad Men to math. We're using predictive analytics to do what we call predictive hiring. So how does it work? Well, there's an abundance of data available, and we have an assessment that takes 450 data points from existing employees and actually creates predictive algorithms based on who retained or who performed versus who did not retain and who did not perform. By separating those groups, we can understand what should we be looking for and demystify the predictors of performance. Importantly, what is in those 450 data points? In fact, what matters to performance? Well, here is a summary of the latest research. There are only 3 things that matter to predicting performance and should be used in pre-hire assessments. One is your cognitive ability. Smarts matter to a point, but after a certain point, the smartest person in the room is not the best performer. The second is technical skills to do the job. If you're going to be a developer at Google, you need to know how to program. If you're going to be a doctor, you need to know certain medical skills. But the largely unexplored part of what drives performance is non-cognitive competencies or soft skills. To the point made earlier, there's too much information in the world to be a content expert. So in the innovation economy, the more important thing is to know what questions to ask and not what the answers are. So the Koru 7 of what we call the impact skills that are the most important skills in the innovation economy. So they are, specifically, things like grit, the ability to persevere through ambiguity, rigor, the ability to use data to tell stories, impact, the ability to know what the goals are and how to prioritize time around those goals to drive impact, curiosity, ownership, teamwork. Teamwork is actually the ability to recognize emotions in others to draw forth the best from a diverse team. These 7 competencies are the things that drive performance, and they're unique to how we assess applicants vis-a-vis those predictive models and help score them using a fit score from 1 to 100 in terms of, is this nurse the right nurse for this environment, given what the population of patients is, given the leadership of the organization, and given what the organization does. So let's talk about outcomes. Why do this? If you think about how we hire today being relatively arbitrary and shifting to using data to predict performance, the outcomes are pretty dramatic. One organization in the first 90 days of using a predictive model like this moved from 50% turnover in the first 90 days to 13% turnover in the first 90 days, which is massive. Another organization increased the number of top performers by 30%. Now, that had a dramatic impact on their bottom line. So obviously this is good for business, but I want to engage you around something bigger than that. Imagine a world where hiring did not have unconscious bias. Most employers have far more diversity in their applicant pool than they do in who they hire. They don't mean to do that, but there is tremendous unconscious bias. The second thing I'll tell you, and I'll leave you with, is imagine a world where the talent that is so evenly distributed around the world was matched by opportunity, which is today tightly held and not evenly distributed. But if you could make opportunity distributed evenly as talent is, you could level the playing field and allow people to have access to opportunity based on what they can do, as opposed to where they were lucky enough to get into school when they were 17 years old. Thank you very much.